How you doing, YouTube? This is Will from Will Development, and this is part one of my probably honestly going to be about 4 parts, where I talk about my favorite bodybuilders, and then in the 4th part I will make the big finale of who my absolute favorite bodybuilder of all time is. And I'm going to start with what they call the golden age of bodybuilding, which is sometime starting, honestly to me, it starts in the 50s and then moves to about the 80s, early 80s. I would say like 84-ish. No later than that. In that giant 20-year, well, from the 50s to 30 years, you have a lot of names to mention, and I do not have time to mention every single name. I will name the ones that always stuck in my head. And there's obviously pictures in my head with names I cannot fucking remember. An intelligent person probably would have done a little research, written down some names they could think of, but fuck it. You know me, I like to do it live. Fuck it, do it live. We're doing it live. Fuck it. So, if you haven't seen that clip, that's really funny. I think it's Chris O'Reilly. He just like loses his shit. It's really funny. So anyway, there's some honorable mentions. I'm going to talk about this golden age. It started out, you had Venice Beach, California, and there was a small gym, Gold's Gym, which was, and still is today, regarded as the mecca of bodybuilding. And it wasn't just because it was a great gym. Honestly, back then in the 70s, it was not that great of a gym. The equipment was old even back then and used hard every single day. What it was there was a camaraderie of people that came there every day, and they were all working towards the same thing. Most of them were working towards trying to beat Arnold Schwarzenegger, but a lot of them were just there to develop their own body into the best that they could, which is an admirable feat in my opinion. And none of them, not all of them, most of them were good people, hardworking people that just wanted to do this thing. There's nothing wrong with that. It's America, have a dream, you know what I'm saying? Honorable mentions in this era include, but are definitely not limited to, guys like Tom Platz. This is in no order, it's just the order it's coming out of my head. Sergio Olivia, couldn't remember him, I tried to record this earlier, couldn't remember his name. Franco Columbu, Lou Ferrigno. He's interesting because he actually gets mentioned twice. Obviously, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Serge Nubret. Charles Atlas. Frank Zane, who Arnold battled quite a few times. So many other guys. Mike Katz, who was bigger than Arnold, which is just crazy to think because Arnold was one of the biggest guys at the time, given his height and everything. Basically the entire cast of Pumping Iron. What was his name? Robbie Robinson, I believe that was his name. There was a lot of guys in that movie that were shown. And basically every guy from that other movie Arnold did with Jeff Bridges and Sally Fields. I can't remember the name of it right now. It's a fucking terrible movie. It really is. It's just god-awful, but it's got a lot of bodybuilders. How could I forget him? The master poser, Ed Corney. The master poser from that era. This is not a complete list. These are all just honorable mentions in my head that all cycle through as they go through. But if you need the bottom line of who my favorite bodybuilder from that era is, it's going to have to be Arnold Schwarzenegger for a few reasons. Do I think he always had the best body? No. Do I think he always should have won? No. That could be said of any champion in this kind of sport. You don't always think they should win, but, and the reason I say that is because I hate when people say, well, you know, who's the best? Oh, well, this guy has more wins. Well, just because somebody has more wins, you know, doesn't necessarily mean they were better. What can happen a lot of times is there's just nobody on stage next to him that can even make him nervous about losing. You know what I mean? But that's not what's important. Another reason Arnold's the best from this particular era is because Arnold Schwarzenegger did more for fitness and health than most other people have ever done in history, period. He was on the fitness council. He started the after-school club for boys and girls. If you read his book, which I definitely highly recommend it, Total Recall, his autobiography, it's incredible to see what he came from and what he achieved here. Sergio Olivia has a very similar story. He was an immigrant from Cuba, and he accomplished a lot while he was in America too, and did it through bodybuilding as well. But Arnold Schwarzenegger is definitely one of my favorite bodybuilders from the golden era of bodybuilding, and I will go out on a limb and say that Arnold Schwarzenegger is my favorite bodybuilder from the golden era of bodybuilding. Period. Now, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you can see next week when I talk about the 80s to 90s/2005-ish era of bodybuilding and who my favorite guy from then is. Just might surprise you. And if you don't hit that subscribe button, then what's your excuse?